Hi, and there we go. We're finally live today. Did I say 4 o'clock Central Time? Surely I meant Mountain Time. Anyway, hi. A series of unfortunate events, more like actually fortunate events. I also ship products from my well, it's actually, I had a mall store that I closed. But I'm a CSA survivor and coach, and we're here to talk about the E in spades today. And all week long, we are working on my spades program. And I'll tell you more about my store later. Sorry running late. Just had to ship a ginormous basket. It's like ginormous basket that I actually thought was shipped a while back. But it was not because I broke my foot. Anyway, long story short, basket's on the way, Carla. And I have a lot to talk about today. Did you hear me burp? I said I burp. I have a lot to talk about today. Yeah. Okay. I have 3 sons. Burping is a thing. It's a competition in my house. It's not. I don't have like confused ideas about what does and does not compromise a lady, nor do I even have a confused idea about wanting to be a lady. That's a weird term, isn't it? A weird term. So part of educating and advocating, I wasn't going to talk about that at all, but now that it just came up, the language of society. I was going to talk about that, but the language of society needs to change. Expectations are based on what we read and write and say and hear, as well as how I should be. And I've talked about it at length, and this week, we're really going to dive more into what is wrong with the language of society, among other things. So educating and advocating. I'll give you an overview today because we're going to do this for 5 days. Of course, it starts with educating yourself. There's several components. It's going to be 5, actually. That's what I've broken down to for ease of my trigger management guide program being easy to get through. And if you don't know, that's what I'm doing here is finalizing my manuscript. By the end of the month, I'm finalizing my manuscript, Self-Talk, my continuing efforts to survive childhood sexual assault. And I want to tell you, it started out titled My Continuing Efforts to Survive Childhood Sexual Abuse, because that's what I'm always hearing, and that's what I read, and sexual abuse. And it dawned on me that it pissed me off that they're not calling it assault. I don't know of any instances of anything inappropriate sexually with a child or otherwise that I would not call assault if perpetrated by one on another. So why do we minimize with words like abuse? Sexual abuse, what really angered me was specifically, and got me thinking about it, a preacher, a minister, was given nothing but probation, no jail time or anything, in a small town after he was found guilty. He confessed even. That's what they do. He confessed to years of sexually assaulting his own daughter. And she takes him to court. He gets no time or anything. And the judge's reasoning, and he put it in writing, was because he's done so much other good in the community. So child rapists can get off if they do other good in the community. We can look the other way. And that pissed me off. And things like that are what led to the blackout that I had that started me writing this book a couple years ago, when I flat out lost it. I don't remember it. I don't remember. I do remember posting that day. I was so upset, and I made a Facebook post where I was like, what the hell is wrong with you? And I'm like crying. If you go all the way back to my early videos, I think I found it and posted it there like last year. I was so upset. And then the next morning I wake up and I'm like bruised and battered and my eyes stuck shut. And I was like, I could tell I had been beating something up or in some kind of a scuffle. So I called my then, what I call not boyfriend, person I was in an a relationship with, that I've since learned was entirely unhealthy. But I called him up and I'm like, what? Something happened last night. You know, why am I like this. And he said I had blacked out and went outside and cried on my patio for a couple hours and then came in and attacked him. After I attacked my room, my closet doors, my sink, my walls, my dresser, I decided that I would try to beat him up. And when he said that to me, I had this tunnel vision of seeing rage, seeing myself do it. I saw myself coming down on him with my fists and then going for his neck. And that scared me. I was already, working from home and I quit drinking. Not that I was drunk that night, but I just was like, okay, square one. I can't be like this. I can't be blacking out. I'm a grown adult. I run a business. Since then, I've founded a charity. I have children. One cannot be acting that way. So I had him leave. I just asked him to leave. I was like, you need to go. We don't really have a relationship anyway. And I am, and shockingly enough, after I tried to kill him, he didn't even want to leave. And I'm like, no, I am enabling you and you are enabling me to have a bad life and relationship. And I decided, I had decided already 14 years before that I wasn't going to be in a serious relationship. I just wanted to have sex now and then, and then I basically, like I tell people, if you go looking for something, you'll find something. That was what I wanted at the time. Looking back now, it was very unhealthy. It led to a lot of other unhealthy decisions, mostly just denial, just the self-denial of it all. But the part I do support in all of you, I would encourage you, if you're a CSA survivor, to get to, or not. Why does this keep falling off here? I'm just hot. I'll just take it off. You need to get to the point that you realize that your happiness is about you and you don't need to be with a person to be happy. And quite the opposite, or not opposite, to take that even more extreme, I will venture to say most of you CSA survivors like myself go to extremes of trying to make somebody else happy. And we talked at length about that last week. And the week before that was the A in spades, ask for what you want, don't just take what's given. And last week we talked about not waiting to feel okay to be okay. And if you're still here, you realize there's a theme going on, that all of these things are things you need to do every day. And they're little tricks that, not affirmations, but, well, kind of. I mean, I guess you could look at it that way. I don't like 12-step programs. I don't like anybody that tells you to turn it over to a higher power. That's a cop-out. I love how they take addicts, put them in groups, and tell them to turn it over to a higher power. It's like, you're transferring the addiction. You'll never, ever be okay permanently, in my opinion. I'm not a doctor. I just play one on TikTok. I am a CSA survivor. I survived 7 years of grooming and assault. I'm going to go with 4-3, 3-4 overlap split on grooming and assault. Actually, no. Oral sex is still assault. So pretty much, yeah, it was not good. My adolescence and teen years, until I ran away and tried to kill myself a couple times. And I'm coming to you as a survivor who has survived suicide, who has survived rape and gang rape, who has survived my own negative opinion of myself. I've survived 3 marriages and 3 divorces, all of which what I was saying about the language of society is we've got to change it. And I was giving you some of my story. So what I'm getting to is the first person I had to educate was me. So the first day of educating and advocating is going to be all about making sure that you yourself know that the shame is not yours. Making sure that you yourself know that you need to take steps to learn how to separate the past from the present so that you can stop your CPTSD experiences in their tracks, right? Unfortunately, the first moment that you feel a CPTSD event coming on is not preventable that I know of, or that I know of in the literature either from the actual doctors. And the deal is, it's a sensory thing. Sensory things are what trigger us, generally speaking. So the first thing that happens is you're going to become aware that your body feels different and wrong. You might you might have the sensation that all of a sudden you're in the past, that it's happening at the same time. And at that point, you need to grab onto reality. And this is part of educating yourself. Educate yourself how to do that. Separating the past from the present. I talked about it for a whole week, and I talk about it a lot. Kind of works into everything because it's the most important one. Dissociation, like I was talking about my alter rage that I met that night. One of my alters, little girl, I met her over 20 years ago. 22 or 3 years ago, I met a little girl in counseling therapy. And little girl was the part of me that went away, right? Never took my memories away, but contained them neatly. And the rest of my time, I would just function. It turns out rage was the one that intercepted little girl and made her get back to normal. Rage was the one that walked the little girl out the door and into a field or down the street, or I would wake up on the church steps sometimes. I've woke up in fields. I've just somewhere else. So then when I met Rage, it was really a relief to meet this alter. But it was scary too because it happened during a blackout. So naturally, time to have this person not be in my home anymore. Time to, the one I tried to kill through no fault of his own. Time for me to address why I've been married and divorced 3 times. Not that they're all innocent and whatever, and not that they should have been my partners. But I never gave anybody the chance to really get to know me or me them because I was a liar right from the start. I was a liar. The lie of omission. So one of the things you're going to have to do in educating, and we're going to talk about this for a whole day this week, is educating your partner. Educating your partner. And if you are a partner, educate yourself. But I want to draw a very clear distinction between educating and dumping your entire experience on someone. Because literally the play-by-play of what happened to you or me, to me, I'll use myself as an example, would be something that would be hard for my partner to get out of his head. And I don't want that in his head. He knows the gist enough that it's not hard for him to be with me, but it's hard for him to not have hate in his heart for my assaulter, which is fine with me too. You can hate all day long. I talked about that. You don't have to forgive. You don't have to be over that. Just don't go hurt anybody because prison sucks. I don't know. I've never been there. Don't want to go. I'm just guessing. And from the movies and everything I hear, prison is not the place I want to be. So I will not be able to not have hate, but I don't want to pass that to my partner to the degree that my partner and my relationship becomes about my past. I want my partner to be my future, my present, my future, my soft place to fall, my orgasms, my excitement. And it's unnecessary and it's unhealthy for you to turn your partner into your shrink. Have a coach, have a therapist, have a counselor, have a group of people you talk to. But for God's sake, don't mistake your partner for your therapist, for their sake and for yours. Okay. If you do, you're one of the people in the 3 kinds of people I talk about a lot. There's the people that don't ever get over it, that are like so hung up. What happened to me? I will never get over. I'm always going to be angry. This person, not me. This person, I'm always going to be angry. Well, I'm always going to be angry at my assaulter. I'm always going to be hateful. Well, I'm always going to be hateful too. I'm just saying that's okay. But the part about not moving on, that's not okay. If that's the way you want to live your life, fine. Don't call me. Don't call me. I want to help people in the middle and pushing this way. The people that go, okay, this happened to me and it sucked and I'm in a club I don't want to be in, but you know what? I will have a good life and overcome, and I will realize that, hey, naturally I have some issues. I actually have named a chapter of my book, and she'll be really, really happy about this. Chris, you'll be so happy that I named a chapter of my book after you. It's called Little Bitches in Your Hometown. That is literally a name of a chapter in my book. What to do about little bitches in your hometown who blame you, who say an adolescent should know better than to suck their brother-in-law's dick. Even if she didn't want to, she should have done something, I don't know, fought back. They don't get grooming. They're not educated. We have to educate them. So, in my Little Bitches in My Hometown chapter in my book, I just love to say that. I'll probably say it a couple more times just for the fun of hearing it roll off my tongue. Little Bitches in My Hometown. But it's really just a couple people. Mostly I've gotten overwhelming support. And from my tiny little hometown, 3 weeks later, I had 64. The analytics show where you're at. I had 64 people in the first 3 weeks, and that was a couple years ago, reading or following from my hometown. When I posted the first 7 chapters of my book, actually they are pinned to the top of the Facebook page by the same name, Linda K. Survives. It was changed recently from Self-Talk, my book's name, Self-Talk, my continuing efforts to survive childhood sexual assault. But really, I'm more interested in you guys. I mean, the book is important too, but I'm more interested in you learning the Spades program, because you're like me and you need to be happy and you need to be satisfied and you need to realize that being a giver is okay as long as you're taking enough first. As long as you are receiving so much rather than take, better concept. As long as you're receiving so much that this is the path you're supposed to be on, that your partner is somebody you want, not somebody you're just trying to live up to. When you get into that state, suddenly you can rise out of the middle, I know what happened to me, and you start educating, you start advocating. You taught yourself to overcome your CPTSD, or at least manage it. You've taught yourself to go out and live your life and not hide away and be pissed all the time. Hopefully you've taught yourself that prison is a bad thing and you don't go that way. Did I bring that up? It's not like I think about that from time to time. Another chapter in my book is called Forgiveness is Overrated. And another chapter in my book is called Dark Deserved Places. Okay, you can say deserved. Is it deserved or deserved? I think they're both correct. I like deserved, so I hope I'm right. Somehow I like the way certain words roll off the tongue. Like you can say dissociate or disassociate, and they're both the same meaning, but we've gone with the dissociate word. And every now and then I say disassociate because it fits better. But I digress. We're going to educate and advocate. And I need you to do that. I need you to realize that if you don't, more people are going to be in the exact same boat that you were in and that I was in. And I want you to realize it's going to be your fault. Yeah. I want you to realize it's going to be your fault if you don't do something about it. Is that creepy? Who's going to do it if we don't? I left my first husband, a super nice man, kind, talented, loyal. I left him because I couldn't be honest. I could have, but I chose not to be. It never even occurred to me to be honest and say, when you call me little girl and talk baby talk, and everyone who knows him knows that he thinks it's cute. His own band called him Lala, because he would baby talk and think it was cute. And it didn't bother me till we get in the bedroom. And then the baby talk made me feel like I was essentially being raped in my own bedroom with my own husband that I really did love. But I couldn't, in my own mind, be honest, right? No one taught me to educate anybody about my own experience. No one taught me to even tell myself yet. Not like I never didn't know. I didn't have repressed memories that came out. I've always known. But we have extreme abilities to dissociate, CSA survivors, and it saved our asses. It saved us. It's a good thing. If you have alters, that's also a good thing. I do. Send them a thank you card because they saved your ass. But now you need to function in the grown-up world. And if you continue dissociating in times of sex, you will end up like I did and think, hey, I don't have any sexual problems. I'm fine. I can have sex. I can even kind of like it. Mostly I just want to make sure that they're happy. And if they're happy, then I'm good, you know? And it's like, no. I discovered for the first time animal attraction, where somebody like pheromone, where my partner that I've been with for going on 2 years, is the first time that I like, nothing could have stopped me from having sex with my partner except for him turning me down. And it started with my mind. It started with, we have the mental connection, because for me there is no whatever. But I had a mental connection with my husband's, and I accepted the lack of a physical connection because I didn't know that existed. I didn't know it was a thing. And this is something that I want to educate you on, and I think that you need to get it in your brain. There's a good chance if you're a CSA survivor that there's a good chance if you're a CSA survivor that you like me don't realize that intimacy and sex go together and that they're not the same thing. Because I thought being intimate was having sex, the sex act. So I thought I had intimacy with my husband because we had sex. And I thought I was doing it right because I married him and didn't cheat and whatever. But then when I discovered, and it took all this other therapy and work. It took cognitive behavioral therapy. It took me learning that I was stuffing and swallowing my memories every time I would think about it, just trying not to so hard that it was, like that I was a coil pushed to the ground, ready to spring. And once I worked on those things, lo and behold, I had this experience that I didn't even know was a thing. And I talked to other people, and I'm really convinced you don't know it's a thing, that you can be attracted to someone on a chemical level. And I don't mean I'm drunk or drugged or lonely. There's a whole lot of reasons to want to have sex with somebody. And I've wanted to have sex plenty of times, lots and lots of times, so many times, but still didn't base it, I see now, on true intimacy. It was always a place I wanted to get, and I wish that I had started there. And maybe I wouldn't have ended up divorced 3 times. Not that it's a problem. And whoever called me something about I'm just a bitch living on child support, drunken slut. I am not a slut. Nor have I ever lived on child support. I don't have child support. I had tiny bit of child support briefly. I'm owed over $50,000 child support from my last husband, but he doesn't pay it, and I don't know why they don't do anything to him, because his mommy takes care of him, I guess. But just saying, I educated myself. I went to therapy. I learned about myself, and then I had this sensation, and I realized, wow, this is what has been missing. This is why my marriages didn't work out, because I was always trying to make somebody happy, and I should have started at the point, and you should start at the point of make yourself happy. And if that person checks all your boxes at Five Below, Mom, I'm like, yes. But I have orders. I've told everyone don't call me between 4 and 5, but today just went awry, and so I didn't even start till 5 talking to you guys. I just wanted to set up the Ian Spades this week, and I wanted to set up the idea of educating and advocating, and kind of have to regroup after every phone call interruption. So let's look at my notes. If we don't change the world, who will? I mean, serious question. Are you happy to pass on the same level of disrespect? Are you happy to know that your descendants are going to be down-talked and disparaged against because of their sex? You decide, I guess. You decide. we're going to get to spirit. It's the last S. It comes next. But I do want to touch on something that really, this has to do with the whole educating and advocating thing too. I'm disgusted by the types of people, and I used to say Christian, but I'm not going to do that anymore. Pick a religion, okay? Pick a whatever. Pick a spiritual bent of any kind. Are you the kind of person, and I see a whole bunch of both, but are you the kind of person that when you see someone on the side of the street in need, says, I feel so sorry for them, I'm glad it's not me, and go on about your merry way? Or are you the kind of person that sees someone on the side of the road in need and says, I feel so sorry for them, what can I do to help you? Anthropologically speaking, historically speaking, going way back, human beings, like other grouping animals, come together and we've formed societies to help each other, to take care of each other. And if society has gotten so big that we can leave people homeless and hungry, that we can choose who gets the best medicine based on who's got the biggest pocketbook, if we can choose to leave someone on the side of the road and just be damn glad it's not us, then our entire society has gone awry. And no, I'm not a socialist, but yes, there's a baseline of decency that should be achieved if we are even worthy of calling ourselves a society at all, much less a nation, a state, a whatever you want to call it, a religion. We've gotten so used to other people's hardships that we hardly even notice, and so many people hardly take the time to do anything about it, and that just makes me just sick. I just wasn't raised that way. You know, my dad was a minister. My mom was a wonderful person. They were good and kind. What happened to me happened under their noses, but they didn't know what was happening, and I wasn't telling. No one educated me. And even though my parents were, even though my dad was a minister, he actually gave up the ministry to become a counselor, and because of the hypocrisy in the church. And he taught us, he was a Methodist minister who gave up the church early. And he said, I'm not going to give up my spirit, but I've learned through educating himself in seminary and all, he learned, wow, there's a whole bunch of really great thoughts across religions, and nobody's really got it right except for the good, kind part. And taking care of each other to a baseline of decency, to me, is just, well, I guess it's in the title. It's the baseline of decency. And that is also a chapter in my book that I've added, the baseline of decency. So please put your vote to work for making sure that we have a social network to provide for the lowest amongst us and the most needy amongst us, because I guess a religious quote comes to mind, believe it or not, because I'm not a religious person. I enjoy religions, but I really don't like the power trippy part. But what comes to mind is, there but for the grace of God go I. And my God is love and goodness and kindness in the world. And that I can't see a person in need without thinking, there but for the grace of God go I. So what can I do, God? What can I do? So I founded the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund. And you can join our Zoom meetings. Well, I've decided what I'm going to charge for my trigger management guide and all, because I just want to give it away. And I'm like, but I want to raise money. So how about this? Everybody can do $5 a month, right? So a subscription is going to be up soon at sweetsurvivor.com, which goes to my store right now, feelgoodfairtrade.com. And I'm working on that website. And I just want you all to support the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund, because SWEET stands for Survivors Will End Earth's Trafficking. And I've also got merchandise. If you would like sweet merchandise, this is one piece. It says, fuck what people think. And it's got the wrong logo because that's my old mall store that I closed before the pandemic. It's going to be 3 different sweet logos that we have so far. And your purchases will go to provide rescue transportation. Survivors will end earth trafficking. It's rescue transportation to get people in trouble, out of trouble, and somewhere safe. Because we've got hotlines, we've got safe homes, but we have a lack of how to get there. So I thought I could fill that hole. It's a brand new thing. I'm looking for Angel subscribers. If you're interested, message me, talk about that. I'll start advertising and stuff once I have the means. I just don't know. Any live gifts given will go to Sweet as well. So Sweet, right? Who can't remember that? Who can't remember that? I was pretty happy with that when I was like, oh, survivors will end earth trafficking. Smells sweet. Yeah. Celebrate your small victories, even if it's just a good name. Even if it's a good name. So, this week we will continue with the educating and the advocating, and we're going to start with the you, which is my Spades program. You're going to work on you by doing everything else we've been doing. Shame is not yours, separating the past from the present, asking for what you want, not taking what's given, not waiting to feel okay to be okay, because you're perfectly normal CSA survivor. And you're not going to get used anymore. You're not going to allow yourself to just think about what you can be to somebody else, but you're going to think about what can they be to me. And if they fit all the things you want, then you pursue it. And only then do you pursue it. Stop. I can't emphasize this enough. Stop looking at the world as, am I good enough? Do they like me? When I walk in a place, I still have, does something look wrong about me? I always feel awkward, and I make myself do it. I can even look arrogant, I was told. And it's like, that's because I'm overdoing it to compensate for the nerves I still have. Because I still, to this day, decades later, with all the therapy, I still carry the momentary shame. But then I tell myself, the shame is not mine. It is not more shameful to be raped than to be a rapist. It is more shameful to be a rapist than to be raped. Your body's the same. Unless you had violent trauma, and I'm sorry for that. Trigger warning. I hope I didn't hurt anybody there. I've been told I need to say trigger warning and stuff more often. I'm trying to get with it here, but I'm kind of... Really, I feel like we should be able to talk more frankly than we do. You know, I've been shadow banned for putting sex on the screen. And it's like, I mean, not sex, the word. So I've learned you have to separate letters and you have to use false spellings. How are we supposed to educate and advocate if we can't even talk about what happened to us without it being banned? I guarantee you, put sexual assault on there, they'll shadow ban it. You're not allowed to talk about. We can't, you know, it just reflects what our own families. Even a supportive family generally doesn't want anybody else to know, because it's like, it's this carryover from religions that say you're ruined now. I mean, imagine being in a part of the world where if you are raped, your father will sell you to your rapist. That's even in the Bible. If someone takes your child's virginity, your daughter's virginity specifically, sell her for 40 pieces of silver to her rapist. When people like are all about, it's in the Bible, it's like, you know what else is in the Bible? I've got a big list of stuff in the Bible. If you want to be educated, I'll be happy to educate you about what's in the Bible. You know, you can't wear a garment made of 2 cloths. That's worthy of being stoned to death. So if you see someone with 2 different fabrics on a garment, kill them. I mean, that's, if you're a good Christian, that's what you have to do. So on and on. I mean, it goes on and on, the crazy ass bullshit. That's why I say there's nothing wrong with, if you want to accept your religious traditions, just accept the ones that have to do with love and goodness and kindness and mercy, and throw out the ones that have to do with carrying what's in someone else's pants or how they use it or who they use it with, that kind of thing. And throw out the part that disparages against women and others. And for God's sake, and we're going to do an entire day on this week, educate others as to the fact that cultures that disparage against women and others have no validity. That part of their religion, or there's no validity. I'm told you have to respect other people's culture, even by religious women have told me I'm wrong for not, and I only argue these kind of things if I'm fishing for people's ideas, because generally I won't waste my energy arguing with an idiot. But sometimes I do it. I go to Reddit and Quora just to like surf and see what the hell, where people's minds are. And I'm just flabbergasted most of the time. You know, what do I do? How do I stop my wife from cheating on me when I'm at work? I'm like, well, you've got way bigger problems than your wife cheating on you at work if all you are interested in doing is figuring out a way to stop her from cheating. I mean, this is control. You shouldn't be in a relationship that can control you. And you shouldn't accept a culture that accepts controlling anybody else in it. I mean, most women in the world are so marginalized and disparaged against that the older I get and the more I realize it and the more I see it, I'm just determined. I'm determined to make a difference in this world. So, to those who say you can't make a difference in the world, yes, someone told me that. Yes, I can. I can change my part of it. I can change it a little. I can tell people to help. I can ask you to help. And we're going to educate and we're going to advocate. And we're going to teach ourselves that we deserve better. And then we're going to tell other people we deserve better. And then we're going to goddamn vote to get better. And we're going to support everybody in this world that's disparaged against and marginalized. And we're going to create a society where we don't pass people on the side of the road and where somebody's grandma doesn't get, you know, the same cancer treatment as somebody else's based on money. Or me. I'm not a grandma yet, but someday I might be. And I don't want worse treatment because I don't have Elon Musk's bank, you know, or even just your average doctors or whatever. You know, I run a fair trade store, feelgoodfairtrade.com. Please support us. And my new charity, which my goal is we're going to raise $1 million. We're going to do it this year. I'm going to raise $1 million this year. I don't know how, but you have to state goals to make them work. And so I'm going to do it. So watch for that. It's coming up. And I'm going to manifest it. I'm going to make it happen. So part of educating and advocating is also dwelling on, and this comes up with every letter really, the idea of, I said, okay, go after what you want. What is that, right? What is that? How do you manifest your reality? How do you figure out what belongs in your picture and what doesn't? Okay, start with feel. For one thing, if your partner doesn't make you want to touch them, not that they make you. If you and your partner, or you, even just you, don't feel a pull, an intimate pull to your partner, then maybe you're just friends and maybe you should reevaluate. And a big part of, it's not a part of my program, but it's part of how I feel about things. I'm angry that marriage got hijacked by power. Marriage got hijacked, and it used to be like, you think of getting married as, oh, we're in love, whatever. But you can be together in love. You can raise kids. And if you really are like in love, you're not going to screw each other over, whatever, right? But you know, I've learned that marriage really is a construct that is really set in place for when it fails. The only reason people get legally married is to have backup for when it fails. I'm all for marriage. I would marry my partner in a heartbeat. But make it legal? Hell no. Only for insurance or taxes. If for some reason it becomes an advantage to make it legal, okay. But legal marriage is a trap. And I know someone right now, and people I talk to, who there was someone that, and this is, I hate to say it, because I don't like to ever get sex specific, but I hear this more from men, that someone wants to get them to marry them right away to prove their love. And it's like, if someone demands you marry them to prove your love and you're scared of losing them, run, lose them. There's no reason for that. That's ridiculous. You need to be okay on your own. You're not going to just take what comes along. You're not going to take it because you might not get something else. Life alone is beautiful and wonderful. And only when I decided to be alone did I discover true intimacy. Just like they always say, if you're looking, they say you'll never find it. But that's not true. If you're looking, you're going to find something. But you're going to be clouded by the fact that you're trying so hard to find something that you'll fill in a lot of blanks. So I want to educate you as to the fact that if you see a red flag, run. You get one flag. One flag on the flag, run. Red flags. Yes, people can change, but not in that way. Not in the way that a cheater doesn't stop cheating, right? A cheater doesn't stop cheating. A beater doesn't stop beating. Seems like it should be a country song. Should write that down. Some kind of negative behaviors, and typically CSA survivors do pick narcissists and abusive people because it's what we know. We know trying to be everything to somebody. And trying to live up to someone is kind of like a way of life, generally, to CSA survivors. So I'm telling you, get the fuck over that. Get over it. Get over it. Get over it. People need to live up to you from now on. They need to live up to you. And you're a good example. And I need you to get it in your head. I guess I don't need you to. You need you to realize that sex and intimacy are not the same thing. But they do go hand in hand, and they should go together. They should go together. And for those with alternate lifestyles and multiple sexual partners and whatever, as long as you're all in it for the right reasons and you all agree and you're super fine and happy, I'm not disparaging against that either. It's not for me. And every CSA survivor I've talked to literally so far really seems to long for a solid relationship with someone. They just want someone to care about them so much that they'll fill in every blank. And it's not care if you get hurt. It's not care if you get put down. It's not care if they have rules for you. It's not care if they make demands on how you're going to behave. So where I started this whole spiel was, don't respect anybody who says it's their culture to disparage against women. And another chapter of my book is entitled, Don't Trade Your Daughter for a Cow. You know, shouldn't that go without saying? But guess what? In a lot of parts of the world, that's done. Women, girls, children who are daughters are traded for livestock in certain communities. And people think, oh, this is like some little thing in some little faraway place. It's like, no, huge amounts. Most women in the world are under the control of men, including most American women I know. Whether it's directly in their own home or indirectly through the establishment, that's where we're at. To have an ERA act that was on the table since 1972, you know, come on. We've got forces out there trying to reshape society back into a mold that was never intended to be. This is the melting pot, right? Didn't the founders, if we want to go with exactly what's in the Constitution, we're not supposed to be biased by race or religion. We're not supposed to involve that in politics. So how is it that America right now and many other nations are falling to nationalist ideas and conservative ideas that take away our freedoms and rights as women? And to see other women supporting it is just making me sick. And the reason they do is because they are so controlled that their life is actually better if they support it. Sometimes, unfortunately, you're better to be the slave that the master likes than the slave that the master doesn't like. I don't want to be either slave. I don't want to be anybody's slave. I don't even want to be a well-liked slave who gets treated better than the others. And that is what women are in this world to men, including in America. And it needs to goddamn stop. And I'm here to do it. Or at least die trying. Will you join me? I hope so. I'm going to get going. We'll be back tomorrow. And continue talking about educating and advocating. And I'm going to get more specific about some stuff. Okay? You take care. I will talk to you then. Bye. Oh, and please go to feelgoodfairtrade.com. Feel Good Fair Trade. I'm told I say it too fast. Buy something. Thank you.